Good morning, boys and girls. Thank you for joining with me as we read another story by Max Lucado. This one is called Stanley the Stinkbug Goes to Camp. I don't know if you've ever caught a stink bug or seen one out in your neighborhood, in your home, at your home somewhere, or in the woods, but they can be pretty smelly. And there's a pretty cool truth from God's Word that is revealed in this story. The book of Proverbs, chapter 17, verse 17 says, God tells us, "A friend loves you all the time. A brother is always there to help you." So, to the story of Stanley the Stinkbug going to camp. Camp Bugaboo buzzed with busy bugs. This year, Hermie the caterpillar and his friend Wormy were counselors. "What a great day," Hermie said, as some campers played tug-of-twine. Others hiked the nature trail, and some slid down a banana leaf into the camp pond. "It's our first morning at camp," Hermie announced. "Every bug is happy, every bug is playing, every bug is present." "Every bug but one," Wormy the caterpillar corrected. "We're missing Stanley Stinkbug." Meanwhile, Stanley waited to catch the last bus to Camp Bugaboo. "Oh, it's going to be awful," he said to himself. "Why did I promise my mom and dad I'd go? I'm afraid no one will like me because I stink." Stanley's eyes filled with big tears. "God, why did you make me so stinky?" "You'll see," God said. "I made you just the way you are, and I don't make mistakes. Remember, Stanley, I'm always with you." Stanley felt a little bit better, but he was still afraid that no one would want to be his friend. The last bus arrived at Camp Bugaboo and bounced to a stop in front of Hermie and Wormy. The door opened, and the driver, Skeeter the mosquito, jumped out coughing. Close behind Skeeter was a green, smelly cloud. Standing inside the cloud was Stanley the Stinkbug. He was afraid. And when Stanley is afraid, he gets very stinky. The flowers on the nature trail started to wilt. Hermie covered his face. Wormy pinched his nose. Stanley hung his head. "I'm sorry about the..." "We're glad to see you," Hermie interrupted, pretending there wasn't a bad smell. "Maybe I should go home," Stanley offered. Don't even think about it," Hermie replied. "Come on, let's have some fun." Stanley joined in the games, but every time Stanley got nervous, the green cloud appeared. Then the other campers would hurry away coughing, holding their noses. Soon, no camper wanted to play with Stanley. Sad and all alone, Stanley began to sing. "I smell, can you tell? Do you shriek because I reek? Flowers cower, stones moan, skunks flunk, ants pant, and it's all because I stink." "I'll never have any friends," Stanley said. At noon, the Ladybug twins, Haley and Bailey, saw Stanley sitting all by himself. Each twin took a deep breath and headed towards Stanley. Wanting to be friends, they sat across the table from him. "Hi," Stanley said. He was glad to see them, but he was also afraid they wouldn't like him, and that made him very stinky. The twins tried to hold their breath, but that didn't work. The smell was making them sick. Quickly, they said goodbye and ran outside. "Oh, I'll never have any friends," Stanley thought. That night, Stanley had a scary dream and began to stink, and the other bugs ran outside to sleep. "We've got to do something to help Stanley make friends and have fun," Wormy said. "I've got it," Hermie said. "Perfume and a swim in the pond." But it didn't work. Hermie's next idea was the best. "Let's ask God." "God," Hermie prayed, "we have a problem. It's about Stanley. He stinks. Hermie, stink bugs stink when they're afraid. I made them that way. Just be Stanley's friend and see what happens. Stanley overheard Hermie talking to God. That's it, Stanley told himself. I just have to get over my fears. I'll start with my fear of heights. I'm going to the top of the tallest tree in the garden, and I'll stay there until my stink goes away. Meanwhile, Hermie had planned a big surprise party for Stanley to let him know that all the campers wanted to be his friend. But where was Stanley? Suddenly, Haley and Bailey rushed into the dining hall. Stanley needs help. Everyone quickly followed the twins. Stanley was high in the tallest tree and afraid to come down. He was afraid, and his green, stinky cloud was bigger than ever. Everyone tried to help him, but nothing worked. Skeeter was flying Hermie up to talk with Stanley when, whoops, Stanley slipped and fell. Skeeter and Hermie zoomed under Stanley and caught him. At the party for Stanley, all the campers clustered around him. We want to be your friends, Hermie said. Now, Stanley wasn't afraid. And since he wasn't afraid, he didn't stink. So now everyone could smell Lizzie's yummy cake. Even Big Bully Croaker Frog. It's the frog, Lucy yelled. We're trapped, shouted Skeeter. The long, bug-snatching tongue of the bullfrog darted through the door. This is scary, Hermie moaned. Really scary, agreed Stanley. And his green, stinky cloud filled the room. Sorry, I can't help it. When I'm afraid, I stink. That's how God made me. And I'm glad he did, Hermie said. Look, the cloud of Stanley's stink had reached the door and floated out to the frog, and the big tongue stopped moving, and quickly it rolled back into Big Bully's mouth. Yuck, yelled Big Bully Croaker Frog as he hopped away with a thud. Yuck, thud, yuck, thud, yuck. Everyone cheered. Stanley's stinky smell had scared away the frog. Way to go, Stanley, Hermie said. You protected us all. It's a good thing God made you stinky, Wormy said. Yes, it is, Stanley agreed. Now, Stanley the Stinkbug has a lot of friends, but they all carry nose pins with them, just in case. Well, hopefully, boys and girls, even if a friend is so different from you, you'll still be their friend, no matter what, just the way God is our best friend. Thanks for joining with me today. May the Lord's peace be with you all.